Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to COD Zombies HQ. With the recent leaks from a variety of different sources seeming to point towards the fact that there will be a new Zombies exclusive expansion released for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Zombies in the near future, with a lot of players pointing towards this DLC, calling it Zombies Chronicles 2. Well, if you've been around in the Zombies community for a few years, and specifically around the time that Treyarch released Call of Duty Black Ops 4, this discussion may seem like a little bit of a case of deja vu, because for a time it seemed very likely that Treyarch would end up releasing Zombies Chronicles 2 for COD Black Ops 4 Zombies, and we know obviously that didn't happen, and the reasons for that were obvious. The reaction to this game was fairly negative from the community, and Treyarch was forced to switch away from its development early to work on Black Ops Cold War. Just recently, thanks to renewed interest and discussion of the topic pointing to Treyarch revisiting the idea, some new information has been released by a Twitter user that reveals Activision and Treyarch's original plans for Black Ops 4 Zombies, possibly how those original plans for Zombies Chronicles 2 might have carried on into what may very well be the finalized version of the expansion releasing in Black Ops Cold War. Now do note, what you're about to hear is actually probably one of the most interesting Zombies stories I've ever read online, and it was written by someone that obviously knows a lot about the COD Zombies mode, news and information about it, things that were happening years ago that not everybody in the public was privy to. Now, if it's completely legit or not, there's no way to independently verify, but looking through this user's Twitter history, it doesn't seem like he's a troll just making things up all the time for no reason, but definitely in the back of your mind remain very skeptical to what you're about to hear. He begins by saying this: "I think it's time that I share some info on what was planned for Call of Duty Black Ops 4, specifically for the Black Ops Pass Season 2. Since the hype of Zombies Chronicles 2 and possibly even a Black Ops 2 remaster have surfaced, but do note that my info comes from around the time of the launch of Black Ops 4 and is outdated. As many know, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was initially going to contain 6 Chaos storyline maps for Season 1, and then 6 Aether storyline maps in Season 2. However, early on, it was decided that they'd split it half and half, with 2 Chaos storyline maps and 2 Aether maps at launch, followed up by 2 Chaos storyline maps and 2 Aether maps as DLC, which is what we got as the totality of Zombies content in that game. This trend was planned to continue in Black Ops 4's Season 2, which, as a brief aside, at the time this was heavily rumored that Treyarch would do a Year 2 Seasons Pass that would contain more Zombies maps included within it. So first he's going to talk about what the cancelled maps for the Chaos storyline would have been, then talk about the 2 cancelled Aether storyline maps, and then finally talk about what the original version of Zombies Chronicles 2 was supposed to be, where he continues by saying that Season 2 Seasons Pass would include the final 2 Chaos storyline maps and the final 2 Aether maps for a grand finale. However, Zombies Chronicles 2 was also planned with 6 reimagined and remastered maps. However, Activision had Treyarch move to work on what would be Cold War. This shift in production left the finale of the 2 Aether maps of Season 1 to be finished by a small team, and the entirety of Season 2 was cancelled. But the question is, what would we have seen in Season 2 of Black Ops 4 and in Zombies Chronicles 2 for Black Ops 4 as well? First, and this is going in depth for those of you that remember the Chaos storyline from Black Ops 4, Treyarch's attempt at a totally new universe for the Zombies mode that they started and never finished in that game, and we have never seen that again. Originally, the storyline was supposed to continue, obviously, in Season 2, but that never happened because of reasons we already talked about. But he says about what those 2 next Chaos storyline maps would have been, that one map would have followed Diego as a new ragtag crew trying to awaken Scarlet on the island of Antikythera, the island where a real-world wonder was discovered, the ancient computer known as the Antikythera mechanism, which is this thing right here. And the second and final map of the Chaos Storyline Chapter 1 is a bit of an oddity, as it would have taken place at the famous Library of Alexandria, but also Atlantis. I genuinely don't know how this would have played out, but I'm sure Medusa would have been the final boss, basically the character that turned out to be the antagonist of the Chaos Storyline. Which is all pretty interesting, but to be honest, I was never really interested in the Chaos Storyline all that much, and I think the majority of the player base was more interested into what was happening with the main Zombies storyline, the Aether storyline. He continues by saying that as for the Aether story, the first would have been a reimagined origins during the Battle of the Great War in 1299. Primus would wield the original staves, likely an alternate ending that could be unlocked with Pablo passing a message to Richtofen, allowing the events of Blood of the Dead to occur. The grand finale of the Aether story would have taken place inside the Dark Aether, following Victus immediately after Tag der Tod. It would have been similar to Origins, with Samantha leading Victus through the Hellscape, gathering help from allies from throughout the Aether storyline's history. These allies would have included guys like Gersh, Maxis, Pablo, Peter McCain, and the Mob of the Dead crew, possibly more. The map would have contained enemies from previous maps, but Monty and the Keepers would have been the primary threat, and it likely would have ended with our allies joining Sam in the new world. Now, what he says was originally planned for Zombies Chronicles 2, which would have released after the second Seasons Pass for Black Ops 4 was completed. He said that Zombies Chronicles 2 would have contained 6 reimagined and remastered Aether maps, including Die Rise Remastered, Buried Remastered, 5 as a faithful remaster, meaning exactly as it appeared in the original Black Ops version, Call of the Dead as a faithful remaster, Mob of the Dead as a faithful remaster, and Transit as a reimagined and expanded map. I know some of the celebrities were in talks to reprise their roles, with Danny Trejo and Joe Pantoliano were in talks. That's why Trejo was added to Blackout as an exclusive character there. I don't know how Romero would have been handled in Call of the Dead, as he had passed away by that point, maybe reusing the original dialogue from the first map. But how much of this will actually surface here in the future? He says, unfortunately, I think the 2 Chaos maps and the Dark Aether maps are never going to resurface again, with the original Aether storyline being left in the dust. But Transit, Die Rise, and Buried seems like they're inevitable here in Black Ops Cold War, with those maps being leaked to be likely part of the new DLC. And if Black Ops 2 is ever remastered, then maybe Mob of the Dead and Origins are also possible. He says all this info comes from a close friend who works at Treyarch and has for close to a decade. It's just a shame knowing what could have been, but at least Black Ops Cold War revitalized the zombies community, even if the community is currently on life support with Vanguard Zombies. That is a very long Twitter thread and a lot to take in, and my gut reaction upon reading this was either this is probably the truth of what was originally planned for Black Ops 4, or again, it's one of the greatest fanfiction could-have-beens for the Zombies mode I have ever read. That does incorporate a lot of what we know as to be the truth of what happened with that game mode, with things like the original plans for a second Seasons Pass that would actually conclude the Chaos storyline and not leave it hanging, and the 2 Aether maps we got in that game being developed by a smaller dev team than the 2 prior ones, as well as Treyarch being shifted away from the game early to work on Black Ops Cold War. All that is the truth, but taking him at his word for a moment, going back to what he says that the first version of Zombies Chronicles 2 would have been made up of, we of course have the 3 maps that have already been rumored to be in development and close to releasing in Cold War Zombies, Buried Remaster, and Transit as a reimagined and expanded map, likely to fit both round-based variants and for the Outbreak game mode. And then we have the 3 other maps which never received a remaster, but instead were remade in Black Ops 4, with Mob of the Dead becoming Blood of the Dead, Call of the Dead becoming Tag der Tod, and 5 becoming Classified. But in the first version of Zombies Chronicles 2, he says here that all of those maps would have been reverted to their original versions as part of the expansion. Well, it seems like Die Rise, Buried in Transit are still in some kind of plans to be re-released as part of a new DLC in Cold War. nothing so far has been mentioned of those 3 other maps that were due to receive the remaster experience and not the remakes they got in Black Ops 4. So who knows if we'll ever see those maps again, with the possibility that we may eventually see them as part of an eventual Black Ops 2 remaster that Activision may release in between the premium COD releases, where I'm sure you guys know that 2023 will be the first year that a regular series COD game won't release, as Treyarch has delayed their game by a year. All in all, a very interesting piece of information detailing what could have been for Black Ops 4, with some insights into what still could be here in Black Ops Cold War in the present. Whether it's all true or not, we'll never know, but it definitely gets you thinking, doesn't it? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down in the comments. But that wraps up this video, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, if you learned something new, consider leaving a thumbs up on the video down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, because this story doesn't end here. And make sure to tap out now to check out all the leaked details on the upcoming Black Ops Cold War expansion that we know of so far. But I want to thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you with another Zombies news video very soon. Peace.